Good morning, children. Stay safely at home. As I was discussing, that what are the forces acting on a body which is falling through a liquid. Alright, so let us consider there is a liquid whose density is given by sigma. So what is the density of the liquid? Density of the liquid is sigma, and let us consider the body which is falling down. The density of that solid is rho. Density of the solid. And let us consider R be the radius of the solid body. Okay. So you see, when the body is falling down through the liquid, what are the forces acting on it? Okay, what are the forces acting on it? First is the weight of the body which is acting down. Is that clear? Now, the body is displacing such an amount of liquid. So, you see, the displaced liquid will exert an upthrust in the upward direction. Alright? And when you are considering the body is falling in the downward direction, then viscous drag will act in the upward direction. Is that clear? So you see, initially, if you consider V be the velocity of the body, the velocity was small. Alright? Now you see how you can write down what is the weight of the body. Weight is mass into G. Okay? Mass you can write volume 4/3 pi r cube into density into G. This is the W you can write. So you see, with time, W is not changing. W is constant always. Now you consider the upthrust. Upthrust is given by weight of displaced liquid. All of you know that upthrust is equal to weight of displaced liquid. So what will be the weight of the displaced liquid? Volume of the displaced liquid, which is equal to the volume of the body multiplied by density of the liquid multiplied by G. Now look at the expression for W and U. W and U are constant with time. Alright. Now what about the viscous drag F? Viscous drag F is given by 6 pi eta RV. Alright. So you see here, velocity of the body initially it will increase. So you can write this way that initially V is small, okay, and net force, what is the net force? W minus U plus F. Okay, so net force acts in the downward direction. In the downward direction. Alright. So what is happening? That the next point what you can write? As a result, V increases. Alright. So when V will increase, F will also increase. Is that clear? So what will happen? One time will come when the net downward force and net upward force, they will be equal to each other. Means what you can write? At one moment, F plus U will become equal to W. So when F plus U equal to W, then what will happen? The velocity of the body will become maximum and constant. Why constant? Because the net force is 0. Alright, the net downward force, net upward force, as they have become equal. So what is the resultant force acting on the body? Resultant force acting on the body is 0. So what will happen? The velocity of the body will become maximum and constant. So this constant maximum velocity with which the body falls down is known as the terminal velocity. Alright. So you see this constant velocity, downward velocity is known as the terminal velocity. So you see, you can write F plus U equal to W. F is how much? 6 pi eta r Vt. Here I will not write V anymore. Why? Because velocity has attained the terminal velocity. And U how much? 4/3 pi r cube sigma g, whereas W is 4/3 pi r cube rho g. Alright, so you see pi you can take common, you can cancel. Then out of 6, 4 and 4, you can take 2 common and cancel. R you can take common and cancel from both the sides. So what are you getting? You are getting it as 3 eta Vt plus, you are getting here 2 by 3 r square sigma g, and here you are getting 2 by 3 r square rho g. So one can write 3 eta Vt is equal to 2 by 3, you can take common, then you can write rho minus sigma r square g. So what is the expression for terminal velocity? You are getting 2 into rho minus sigma r square g divided by 3 3s are 9. So it is 9 eta. So this is the expression for terminal velocity of a body, so falling through a liquid, or a liquid drop falling through air. Alright, that is applicable for raindrop, falling raindrop. Alright, so and this formula also you have to learn and remember to solve the numericals related with the terminal velocity. Okay. So you see, according to this concept, if you just plot a graph of a solid body falling through a liquid or a liquid drop falling through air, for the speed versus time graph, what you will observe that first of all speed will increase, alright, but after some time it will attain the constant value. You see here the line is becoming parallel to the time axis. What does that mean? Speed has attained the terminal velocity, alright. So this graph is also equally important for this topic. Next topic is, when a liquid flow through a pipe, then how you can determine the rate of flow of liquid? What is the meaning of the term rate of flow? Rate of flow means volume of liquid flowing per second. Alright. Rate of flow. Rate of flow we generally denote it by Q. What is this? It is volume of the liquid flowing per unit time. Okay, this you must remember. Rate of flow means volume of liquid flowing per unit time. Now, according to Pausley, Q depends on three things. Alright, Q depends on what? Radius of the tube. Q depends on radius of the tube, first point. Then coefficient of viscosity of the tube. Coefficient of viscosity. This concept is given by Pausley. Coefficient of viscosity of the liquid, not tube, sorry. Coefficient of viscosity of the liquid, and it depends on pressure gradient. Here lies the important concept. Pressure gradient means what? Pressure per unit length. Already this one while discussing velocity gradient, I said in details. What is the meaning of the term gradient? Gradient means per unit length. Alright, and one more point you have to consider, that length should be taken perpendicular to the direction of flow of the liquid. So here pressure gradient means pressure per unit length, pressure gradient of the liquid. Alright, now applying the concept of dimensional analysis, you can find out what is the exact relation between Q, R, eta and the pressure gradient. So what is the concept? Already all of you know that we assume this way, that R to the power A, sorry, eta to the power B, then PL to the power C. Alright, now you have to substitute the dimension of all the quantities. Okay. So you see, if you substitute the dimension of cube, volume per time, L cube t to the power minus 1, then what is the dimension of radius, L, what is the dimension of eta, M, L to the power minus 1, t to the power minus 1, then what is the dimension of P, P is L to the power minus 1, t to the power minus 2 divided by L, so it will become M, L to the power minus 2, t to the power minus 2 to the power C. So if you now write L, T and M separately, then what are you getting here? You see M to the power, it will become B and this is C. So B plus C. Then for L, it is A, then it is minus B and then here you are getting minus 2C. And for T, you are getting minus B, then minus 2C. Alright, now what you have to do? Now you have to equate the power of MLT from both the sides. So you see, if you just equate the powers of MLT, you are getting B plus C equal to 0, then A minus B minus 2C equal to 3, minus B minus 2C equal to minus 1. So you see B plus 2C will become 1. Then B plus C equal to 0. So if you write it and if you subtract this to equation, this is coming from equation 1. Subtract the two equation, 2C minus C will be C and here you will getting 1. So C is equal to 1. Now you go back to the first equation. B is equal to minus C. So if you put the value, you are getting B is equal to minus 1. Now you put the values of B and C in this equation. So you are getting A equal to 3 plus B plus 2C. Put the values of B minus 1, C plus 1. So you are getting A as 4. So Q you can write proportional to R to the power A, eta to the power B, P by L to the power C. Now this constant of proportionality, it has been found experimentally by Pauli that it is pi by 8. Now if you substitute the values of A, B, C, you are getting R to the power 4, eta to the power minus 1, P by L to the power 1. So you can write pi P R to the power 4, eta will come down 8 eta L. So this is the formula for, this is known as the Poiseuille's formula. This gives you the rate of flow of liquid through a pipe. Alright, very important formula for numericals and concept wise. So you must learn and practice this derivation. Next very important topic of this chapter is equation of continuity, and it is also known as principle of continuity. Alright, what does it say? That when an non-viscous and if you consider it incompressible liquid. Incompressible non-viscous means what? Simple concept. It is an ideal liquid. Alright. Which is in streamlined motion. Okay. Not turbulent one. Passing through a tube. Then what happens? The product of cross-sectional area of the tube and the velocity of the tube remain constant at every point of the tube. Alright. So let us prove this equation of continuity and let us try to find out what is the meaning. So here you must consider this one, that the tube is non-uniform cross section. So these are the key words, that incompressible non-viscous liquid. Instead of writing incompressible and non-viscous liquid, one can write down ideal liquid, because ideal liquid has to this property. And another is it should have a streamlined motion. Then what happens? The product of area of cross section and the velocity of flow remain constant. Okay. So what does it mean? Let us consider that we have taken a tube which is having non-uniform cross section. Just look at the tube. The tube is not having the cross section same everywhere. Here it is broader and here it is narrow. And let us consider this broader end has the cross-sectional area A1, as narrow end is having the cross-sectional area A2. And let us consider V1 be the velocity of the liquid at this point and V2 be the velocity of the liquid at narrow point. So according to equation of continuity, A1 into V1, you see, product of area of cross section and velocity. And here also product of area of cross section and velocity. Okay, this is constant. So this we have to prove. Okay, now how you can do it? Very simple. V1 if be the velocity at the point, let us name the point as no pressure we cannot use, so A and B. Let us consider this is the point A and this is the point B. Alright, so you see you can write at the point A. Alright, V1 is the distance traveled by the liquid, traveled, I forgot to write, distance traveled by the liquid in 1 second. Isn't it? Because V1 is the speed. Speed is what? Distance traveled by liquid in 1 second. So if V1 be the speed, what is the meaning? That V1 is the distance traveled by the liquid in 1 second. Alright. So if you multiply the distance by the cross-sectional area, you will get the volume of the liquid flowing per second, isn't it? So you can write therefore A1 V1 is the volume of the liquid flowing per second. Is that clear? V1 A1 represent what? Volume of the liquid flowing per second. Clear? Now, if you multiply the volume by density, then what you get? Mass, isn't it? So you can write rho A1 V1 is the mass of the liquid flowing per second. Alright, so you see this is for point A. This rho A1 V1 is the mass of the liquid flowing per second at the point A. Now, if you consider the point B, exactly in the same manner, you can say that. So you see at the point B, you can write mass of the liquid flowing per second is given by rho A2 V2. Now here, this question may arise in your mind that why I have not used rho 1 here, rho 2 here for the density of the liquid. Because the liquid is incompressible. Incompressible means what? You cannot change the volume of the liquid. So as you cannot change the volume of the liquid, and as already we know, the mass of the liquid is constant according to conservation of mass. Neither we are creating liquid nor the tube is destroying liquid. Okay. So the density of the liquid we have considered same. That rho here I have used and here also rho. So you see according to conservation of mass, what you can write, that mass of the liquid entering into the tube and mass of the liquid leaving the tube, they should be same, isn't it? So you can write rho A1 V1 equal to rho A2 V2. Alright, equal to M. Alright, M is what? Remember, M is not mass. Mass per second. Mass per unit time. Mass of the liquid, not second. You must write time. Mass per unit time. M is not mass. M is what? Mass per unit time. So you see, you can write A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. Okay, equal to M by rho. Now, M is constant, rho is constant. So you can conclude that A1 V1 equal to A2 V2 is constant. What does it mean? Product of cross-sectional area and velocity at every point of the tube is constant. That is nothing but principle of continuity or equation of continuity. So what is the physical meaning of this mathematical one, that A into V equal to constant? It means what? You see, if you increase A, then V will decrease. A increases means the tube is becoming broader, wider, and V less. So you can conclude this according to the equation of continuity, that velocity of liquid is smaller in the wider part and velocity of the liquid is bigger in the narrower part. That is the physical significance of the principle of continuity and equation of continuity. So for your exam, as concept wise, everybody should learn the statement of equation of continuity, then the proof of equation of continuity, as well as the physical significance of the equation of continuity. Now next concept is coming, that what are the energies possessed by a flowing liquid. The first is very simple, that if you consider the tube through which the liquid is passing, flowing, it is not on the ground, it is at certain height h, then it should possess some potential energy. And what is the potential energy? It is given by mgh. Then for every kind of energy, we have to know potential energy per unit volume. So you see, what will be the potential energy per unit volume? If you assume that V is volume of the liquid, then you see it will be mgh by volume. So mass by volume is density. Here I have not written that rho is the density of the liquid. So you see potential energy of the liquid. So for a flowing liquid will possess potential energy, which is given by mgh, and the potential energy per unit volume of the liquid is given by rho gh. Then second kind of energy, also very simple, as the liquid is flowing, liquid is in motion, it should possess kinetic energy. So what is the kinetic energy possessed by the liquid? Half mv square. So what will be the, here be careful, here I have written this v small, which represent the velocity of the liquid. Now what will be the kinetic energy per unit volume of the liquid? Half mv square by volume, again mass by volume is density, so you are getting half rho v square. Alright, now coming this concept that flowing liquid possess pressure energy also. So please try to get the concept. You know that a liquid flows from high pressure region to a low pressure region. If the pressure difference is not there, liquid cannot flow. So whenever a liquid is flowing, there will be a pressure difference, means a pressure is acting on the liquid. Alright, now we know pressure is nothing but normal force acting per unit area. It means what? When the liquid is flowing, a force is acting perpendicularly on the liquid, and under the action of this force, the liquid is undergoing certain displacement. So certain amount of work is done. So this work done is known as the pressure energy. So you can write that pressure energy is equal to work done. Work done one can write as force into displacement, and force in this case is originated due to the pressure. So one can write force as pressure into area into the displacement. In this case, as pressure and displacement, they are acting in the same direction. So distance also you can write. So pressure is P, area is A, distance traveled is L. So you are getting PAL is the pressure energy. But we know area into the distance traveled is nothing but the volume of the liquid. Alright, so you can write pressure energy is equal to P into V. Be careful, this V is not the velocity, this is the volume of the liquid. That's why I have used two different kind of symbol for volume and velocity, and you too be very careful. So what will be the pressure energy? I have not written PE because PE I have used for potential energy. So here I have written PR, the abbreviation, that is pressure energy. So pressure energy per unit volume will be what? PV by volume. So volume getting cancelled, you are getting expression for pressure. So these are the three kinds of energy a flowing liquid possess: potential energy, kinetic energy, and pressure energy. And you too have to remember that potential energy per unit volume is rho gh, kinetic energy per unit volume is half rho v square, whereas pressure energy per unit volume is nothing but pressure. Next, another very important topic, concept-wise, exam-wise, is Bernoulli's theorem. Alright. Now, equation of continuity the statement and Bernoulli's theorem statement almost the same, only a difference between one or two words. So, in case of Bernoulli's theorem also, when a non-viscous and incompressible liquid, okay, flows in streamlined motion through a tube of non-uniform cross-section, then in principle of continuity we say product of cross-sectional and velocity remain constant. In Bernoulli's theorem we say total energy of the liquid per unit volume remain constant. Alright. So you see, if you consider the statement when an incompressible non-viscous liquid flows in streamlined motion through a tube of non-uniform cross-section, then now the change is coming. Till this point, it is the same as that of equation of continuity. What is constant? The total energy per unit volume of the liquid remain constant. As you know, what will be the total energy of the liquid? It will be sum of pressure energy, potential energy, kinetic energy. So we know pressure energy per unit volume is P. Then kinetic energy per unit volume is half rho V square. Potential energy per unit volume is rho GH. So, mathematically, what is the meaning, mathematical representation of the Bernoulli's theorem? That when an incompressible non-viscous liquid move in streamline motion through a tube of non-uniform cross-section, then P plus half rho V square plus rho GH remain constant. Alright. So we have to prove this. Now how we can prove? For that, let us consider we have taken a non-uniform cross-section tube AB. Now here at the point A, cross-sectional area is A1. V1 is the velocity of the liquid at the point A. P1 is the pressure acting on the liquid. You must give the arrow to see in which direction pressure is acting. Now, at the point B, A2 is the cross-sectional area. The liquid is coming out. So, V2 is in this direction. Pressure is acting in the outward direction, P2. The point A is at a height H1 from the ground, and point B is at a height H2 from the ground. Alright. So you see, at the point A, what is the work done? Work done on the liquid. Remember, who is doing work? The liquid is not doing work. Certain external agency, who is that? Pressure is doing work on the liquid at the point A per unit time. Work done per unit time. It will be given by work done is equal to, force into distance, isn't it? So you can write it as force into distance per unit time. Be careful. Alright, distance per unit time. Why? Because it is work done per unit time. Work done is force into distance. So, distance per unit time. Now, force you can write it as pressure into area. So, force you can write P1, A1. P1 is the pressure here. A1 is the area here. And distance per unit time is nothing but the velocity. So, it is V1. So, work done on the liquid at the point A per unit time is given by rho 1 A1 V1. Okay. Then next, work done by the liquid. Why by the liquid? You see, the pressure is acting in this direction. So, the liquid is also flowing along the direction of pressure. So, what is happening? Pressure is not doing the work. The work is done by the liquid. So, work done by the liquid at the point B, per unit time is given by, again it will be force into distance per time. So what will be the force? Pressure into area, P2 into A2, and what will be the distance per unit time? Volume. Is that clear? So these are the very important concept you have to understand. Work done on the liquid, because pressure P1 is doing the work and work done by the liquid. At the point A, it is work done on the liquid. At the point B, it is work done by the liquid. So you see, net work done on the liquid per unit time, it will be P1 A1 V1 minus P2 A2 V2. Now why minus sign is coming and why P1 A1 V1 is positive, that you try to understand. So in the first case, who is doing the work? Certain external agency is doing the work on the system. So energy of the system increases. So that work done is positive. Whereas in the second case, the liquid itself is doing the work. What does it mean? The liquid is spending its own energy and doing the work. Alright. So that work done will be considered as negative. So what is the net work done? P1 A1 V1 minus P2 A2 V2. Again we know that according to equation of continuity, A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2 equal to m by rho. This m is mass per unit time. So you can write what is the net work done on the liquid per unit time, that is P1 minus P2 into m by rho. Now you see what is the kinetic energy of the liquid per unit time at the point A. It will be half m V1 square. Here I have written per unit time, that's why this m I have taken, not the entire mass. Be careful. And then kinetic energy per unit time at the point B is given by half m V2 square. Is that clear? Now here you see A1 is bigger than A2. So V1 is less than V2. So V2 is greater than V1. Alright. So you can write what is the increase in kinetic energy per unit time. It will be half m V2 square minus V1 square. Why not V1 square minus V2 square? Because V2 is bigger than V1. So this is the increase in kinetic energy per unit time, that half m V2 square minus V1 square. Alright. Now you see here, potential energy at the point A is given by potential energy per unit time at point A is given by mgh1. Then potential energy per unit time at the point B is given by mgh2. Alright. So you can write that decrease in potential energy. Decrease in potential energy per unit time, decrease in potential energy per unit time is given by mgh1 minus mgh2. Alright, so you can write. Now you see, according to work energy equivalence theorem, you know that for a system, the total work done is equal to the total increase in the energy, not potential energy, total energy of the system. So you see, what is the net work done per unit time we have got from the derivation P1 minus P2 m rho. Now, what will be the net increase in the energy? Kinetic energy increases and potential energy decreases. Means what? What will be the net energy? The increase minus the decrease will be the net increase in the total energy of the liquid. So you can write half m V2 square minus half m V1 square minus mgh1 minus. This negative sign is very important because children do the mistake here. But as it is written that net increase, so net term is there, they write plus. But remember, potential energy is decreasing here. Okay, because the tube was like this. I wrote the diagram. The tube was like this. What does it mean? Potential energy decreasing. So as it is decreasing, that's why this negative sign is coming. Be careful. I am just reminding you that instead of plus, I have written minus here. Why? Because the potential energy decreasing here. So you see, if you consider take m common from both the sides, you can cancel m. So you are getting P1 minus P2 into rho is equal to, here you are getting V2 square by 2 minus V1 square by 2 minus GH1 plus GH2. Now you do one thing. You take rho this side. So you are getting P1 minus P2 is equal to, sorry, here square, V2 square by 2 rho minus V1 square by 2 rho, then minus GH1 by rho plus GH2 by rho. Alright, so you are getting, here I have done one mistake, girls. It was M by rho. It was M by rho. I have done the mistake here. So be careful. That's why I rubbed the earlier one. So P1 minus P2. Then it was A1 V1 this one. No, so it was A1 V1 equal to, so it is M by rho. So it is coming 1 by rho and it will be multiplied by rho. Then here I have done one mistake. So girls, please be careful, because in the first step only I have done the mistake that instead of M into rho, it should be M by rho. So what are you getting here? You are getting, M is getting cancelled. So it is 1 by rho. So rho will be up. Rho V2 square by 2, rho V1 square by 2. Then it is coming rho GH1. Then it is rho GH2. Alright, again I am saying here it will be M by rho, not M into rho, because A1 V1 equal to A2 V2 is not M into rho, M by rho. Here I did the mistake. So here what are you getting? This relation. Now you do one thing, you take all the terms having one subscript together. So you can write it as half rho V1 square. Then you see this is rho GH1. So negative sign is there. If I take it to this side, rho GH1, then it is P2 minus P2. So I am taking all the terms having subscript 2 on the right side. So it is coming plus P2. Then it is coming plus half rho V2 square and here rho GH2. So you see at the point A, pressure energy, kinetic pressure energy per unit volume, kinetic energy per unit volume, potential energy per unit volume. Means this is nothing but total energy per unit volume at the point A. And what does it represent? Pressure energy per unit volume, kinetic energy per unit volume, and then potential energy per unit volume at the point B. Means the entire thing represents total energy per unit volume at the point B. So total energy per unit volume at the point A, total energy per unit volume at the point B, they are equal. It means it proves the Bernoulli's theorem. So one can write that P plus half rho V square plus rho GH, that is the total energy per unit volume of the liquid, remain constant. So this is the proof of Bernoulli's theorem. Statement of Bernoulli's theorem and proof of Bernoulli's theorem is a very important topic for your exam. So you must learn and practice it several times. Thank you girls. That's all for today.